COVID was a big pattern break. And
Okay.
so one of the biggest challenges I see is a challenge with focus and a challenge with that there is momentum going in a certain direction. And how do you change that momentum? So there, even positive momentum becomes very unconscious at a certain point. And so even if something is going positively great, because it's not conscious, it could actually be doing a lot of damage to your psyche, to your well-being, to your frame of mind, to your state of emotions. So COVID was this huge pattern break that I saw myself and everybody else really forced to stop, to understand ourselves lets us understand others, and to understand others lets us connect. And connection is currency. It's money, it's energy. Nobody needs to do more. Do more yoga, do this, another task on the calendar. So to tune into, is it actually working? There's a sense that there's a actual physiological, psychological, emotional, even actionable change. That's the real true measure, rather than thinking that, okay, I'm going to do this one other thing. Many very successful business leaders in the world, they actually meditate every single day. As far as, even the comedian Seinfeld, I mean, he talks about he meditates an hour a day. Um,
Yeah.
but I also want to mention something. Not all meditations are the same. Not all yoga practices are the same, just like not all coaching is the same, just like not all leadership is the same. And there's a difference in practices that have.
Hi there. Welcome to Business Leadership Podcast. In this episode, I had a discussion with Wendy Falcon. She's a transformational coach, yoga teacher, and author of Turn Your Life Inside Out, Shoot Down, and Turn Your Life Outside In. She helps people invest in themselves and author their own lives through writing as a magic. As a former Wall Street stockbroker and a real estate investor, she transitioned after 25 years in finance to personal development, drawing on 19 years of yoga practice, 600-hour YTT certification, and 7 years of Kundalini meditation. Wendy shared her journey from a Wall Street to wellness, emphasizing that interconnectedness of physical, mental, and emotional health. She highlights the significance of energy management, meditation, and mindfulness in enhancing focus and decision making for business leaders. Our conversation also addresses common misconceptions about health in a corporate world and other practical tips for starting a wellness journey. If you found a value in this discussion, please subscribe, share, and comments below. We are working very hard to bring you conversations with the business owners, consultants, coaches, trainers to help you build and grow your business. Your feedback is very important to us. So thank you again for your time. Please welcome Wendy Falcon. Hi guys, welcome to Business Leadership Podcast. Today our guest is Wendy Falcon. Wendy, your area of expertise, health and people side of things, ever changing for what we've gone through for the last few years. So I'm looking forward to learning from you, looking forward to helping people out, what they need to focus on. Thank you so much for time and welcome to the podcast.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here.
Beautiful. So walk us through, what do you do, Wendy, and how do you help out people?
That's a great question. Essentially, I'm a yoga teacher and a life coach, and I help people. I like to phrase it with their largest investment. So, really, I help people become a lot clearer, become a lot calmer, find a different kind of channel internally to make their decisions from. So, whether I'm helping someone in a business capacity or personal capacity, I really help people speed their way to genuine resolve, to a genuine sense of well-being. And so there's a lot of different branches that kind of comes out to, but under the umbrella of the technology of yoga, breathwork, meditation, and clarity of mind coaching.
So what have we gone through with the COVID and past COVID now? People definitely this wellness side of things got a lot more important. People realize that you need to take care of yourself, especially in a business leadership. Before you help out your people, you need to help yourself, right? So you gotta feel better. So were you finding some of the challenges people coming to you for, and what do you think some of the challenges people trying to deal with in their daily life?
I mean, those are great questions. COVID was a big pattern break. And
Okay.
so one of the biggest challenges I see is a challenge with focus and a challenge with that there is momentum going in a certain direction. And how do you change that momentum? So there, even positive momentum becomes very unconscious at a certain point. And so even if something is going positively great, because it's not conscious, it could actually be doing a lot of damage to your psyche, to your well-being, to your frame of mind, to your state of emotions. So COVID was this huge pattern break that I saw myself and everybody else really forced to stop and have to assess what's going on, because you couldn't just do the next thing momentum wise.
Mhm.
So I think with all the tragedy that happened with COVID, that was one of the blessings, if you would, and then we can decide, now that I've had to stop everything, if I'm actually looking at it consciously, will I go back to do the same thing? Or I've got a taste or a sense, or I took some breaths to see what's happening. So now I actually see that there are choices here and I don't have to keep barreling down. So I think focus is one thing. Um, for successful people, it's momentum, it's keeping it up. They have a ton of people to be responsible for, and there's a lot of energy needed. So in the problem I see is that a lot of people are running off tension energy rather than resourceful, regenerative energy.
Mhm.
And people talk from their tensions, even though they don't realize it because they're not in touch with their body. They don't necessarily feel that, something happened and now my chest is tight and my throat is tight and my stomach hurts. And oh, let me pop this antacid. But there's not an actual conscious awareness that all this life is happening inside. And if there was actual attention and new intervention in smart, efficient ways, not to have to take over your whole life and then go become a monk sitting in a cave somewhere, but actually, like in a smart way, it could be woven in, and it really up levels so much, especially with focus and tension energy.
Got it, got it. So, physical health is one thing, but there's mental health, there's a spiritual health. So were you seeing some of these challenges are deep rooted in is it just a I understand these are combination of all things, real physical, but where you see some of the biggest challenges are, is it simply physical side, or is it more for mental health and spiritual side that people are losing a focus on?
Well, I think that's a great question. And it's part of a great misconception that it's any one of those, because it's really all of them, in the sense that, let's say in yoga, we have our physical form. Let's say in a business deal, we have a form. And that form
Hmm.
informs the flow of the deal. If you have good forms and a bit of formality, those deals are going to flow. You need a structure that has very good form for the whole thing to flow well. Well, same thing in the body. So first you have this the form, the physical, and when that starts to break down and people are kind of sitting like this, and we look at it as like the back is your past and the front is your future, and when your past is overrunning your future, or somebody who's model-esque walking, they're all potential, they're all future. There's a certain presence. So we have the
Yeah.
physical form that, informs our flow, and that breaks down. It deforms, it transforms, it could conform to something without integrity, just like a business operation could. But then
Hmm.
we have the emotional state, and then we have also the thoughts. So if you have a physical form in a certain way, the thought forms are not going to be much different. So we can work with changing the physical form. We can work with
Hmm.
changing the thoughts. We can work with the heart of it or the emotional aspect of it. But ultimately, we're really wanting to work with all three. That
Hmm.
there's an alignment. Most people live between, what do I think? How do I feel? What do I think? How do I feel? Or what do I think? What do I say about what I think? What did I say? What do I think about that? What they said.
Hmm.
But these are the boxes. When we bring it down to where there's a center of ourself, where we really can develop having a center, having presence, it
Hmm.
it changes our ability to think differently, to emote and have emotions or work with them differently, and to have a form that really measures up. And so I consider my coaching three-centered coaching, because we're not just sitting there meditating, or we're not just taking action and we're going to go, go, go. And we're not
Mhm.
just getting in touch with our feelings. We're actually looking to align these major centers and understand that it's not one. The way we do anything is the way we do everything. So if we work with multiple levels, it's quite fast and efficient.
Hmm. Very interesting. So let's talk about a little bit your background. You came from corporate world before you started this, right? How's your journey's been? Maybe people can relate to that. And you made a lot of changes in your lifestyle. So I'm hoping people can learn from you as well. So if you can talk about your journey, where you started, and how did the transition go?
So I used to be a stockbroker on Wall Street. I worked at 44 Wall in Manhattan and lived there. Love being a stockbroker. I love the pace and the space, and there's a lot of, I would say, grace. And sorry, sometimes I rhyme. I can't even help it, but um, and there really is, and it really learned how to work with moving a lot of money and working with formality and very like large institutions that had a lot of power, really, and that you could feel it in the air. And I loved working as stockbroker on Wall Street. um when I moved out of New York, I segued out of Wall Street to, well, actually I had my children first, and that was my main. I took that job offer. I said I'm leaving Wall Street for a better job offer of being a mom, which was very amazing for my life, and I
Hmm.
had the affordability to do that, so I did. But then when I shifted and I moved out of New York, I saw potential for real estate back in 2002, and I got into real estate, and I love real estate. So I switched from intangible investments to tangible investments.
Hmm.
And there was a whole nother level of learning and a whole nother level of understanding investing. And so when I was called, I'll say called to my next job, which is what I do now, the yoga I was doing, the mentors I was training with, the coaches, was such life changing for me that I really came to a point where I realized these amazing investments of Wall Street and real estate were essentially things that perish at some point. You lose your money, you
Hmm.
move houses, they're all there's something that doesn't stay with you forever. And I really became called to switch to something deeper and stronger investment wise in my life, something that can't be easily taken or swept or just doesn't leave like that. And I worked with the yoga that I had been training in just for my own personal self and life. And I segued into that to work with helping other people with this level of investment for themselves, a certain level of well-being and clarity and understanding. And it doesn't exclude being successful in life or running a smart business. In fact, it's very inclusive of that and very needed for sustainability over long term.
Yeah, so different kind of investment that you were working on before, but it's still, and this is probably the biggest investment, you investing in yourself, I guess, right? So, you could be successful in a business, but if you fail on your health, I mean that does not, you cannot sustain that for a very long time.
Exactly. I don't know that anybody gets to their deathbed and says, "Oh, I should have really worked a little bit harder." I wish I would have just put in 3 more hours a day every day. Man, I feel really satisfied right now. Yes, it is an investment, and an investment that really pays like huge dividends. And I'm really feeling grateful that the course of my life did move me into experiencing these different investments. And I will say that it's my training on Wall Street that gives me so much understanding of how to work with meditation, because on Wall Street, you move a lot of money, and money is currency. And internally, currency is energy. So to really be able to have a structure within myself that can run a lot of energy, that can
Hmm.
run high energy, that knows how to get rid of tension energy. These are big game changers, like for a human being to be able to develop a system inside, like the way an institution can have $100 million client, Because if your institution isn't really set up well, if $100 million client comes in, it's going to pass you and go to the next guy who has a structure that can handle it. So this is the same with the body. Can you handle the energy, or are you only grabbing 50 watts, but there's 500 watts for you to have if you had the built-in structure to be able to manage that energy?
Hmm. That's a very interesting point and a very, it's great analogy. It's in a business we say the cash flow is everything, and the same as I think energy has to flow in you as well. So it's a similar, it's a great way of looking at it.
Thank you. And the real estate industry, which also it's in my blood, love investing. We work with the body as the home. And so this is the only home you're going to have in this
Mhm.
incarnation. I mean, unless we get really good with AI, I don't know. But for right now. And so most people, or a lot of, not enough people, in my opinion, know how to clean out their attic, clear out their basement, live happily on the second floor, really have a foundation, here that has substance and really enjoy living in their home. So these two industries, interestingly enough, really were my training, Wall Street and real estate, bigger investments to this investment of my breath and my body and my energy and helping people in this way.
hmm Very interesting. I was looking at a recent study. They were talking about the mental health challenges. One in every five people that either they're dealing with the mental health challenges what we just gone through, or they know somebody in a family that who's struggling with that. Do you see a lot of people coming to you for those challenges as well, and and you helping them out?
Yes, I mean the short answer is yes. And one thing I say is like, I'm not a medical doctor. And so I'm never talking from a medical dialogue. It's good. It might sound a little woo woo, but I'm always talking from a magical dialogue in the sense that magic is very systematic. A
hmm
magician never relies on luck. He knows skill, he has technique, he practices it over, and he's going to pull the rabbit out of a hat. It's very real and systematic and measurable. Everything I help people with is measurable. If a person is unaware of these other centers in their bodies, and they're mainly living in their thought center, in the mental center, and they have no kind of awareness how to get into the heart space, because it's a whole different, when you hold a little baby, you experience that joy, that spaciousness, that beauty. That's very different than thinking about a baby
hmm
or conceptualizing a baby, the actual lived experience. Anything we achieve must be done through the body. Must be. There's nothing we can achieve that's not done through the body. So with that being said, a lot of people are thinking about things conceptually, but they're not actualizing it through their body and they're not understanding these other compartments. So when you're just kind of the couch that gets sat on gets worn, when you're overthinking because you don't even understand this some other way to be, there's a breathness that can help train you out of that.
hmm
It would be very painful because thoughts are just thoughts, they're illusion. Even if
hmm
they're thoughts about something true, the thoughts themselves are just ideas. But to be in this lived embodiment and aware and feel the sensations of your body and use your breath to slow your mind and realize you can get out of that mental maze and then understand that you need to achieve through your body. So you're going to have to take action. Most people are just too much. That's my very long winded way of saying most people are just in their heads, but they think they're living their life, but they're really just in their heads. Does that make
hmm
sense?
Yeah. So three compartments you mentioned. One is a physical, another one is a mind, and the third one was sorry, what was the third one?
Oh, the harp.
The heart. So if I want to change my thought process, if I'm just living in my mind, so if I'm changing a physical condition for my body, would that also change my thought process?
Yes. Yes. Think about you can take someone that's living on the street and you can send him to the army and you
hmm
can train him physically. This man's going to change. You're going to change his form. You're going
hmm
to change his formality. You're going to change his patterns. You're going to change what he does in the day. Of course, his thoughts are going to change. It's probably easier to change someone through the physical form than it is to change through the thought process. Both are doable, possible, but it's easier through the body. But most, and that's why athletes, right? You see what
Mhm.
athletes are able to achieve because they're working so much through the body. But on the other hand, the heart's really essential because to be open hearted and to be in touch and to be able to sense and tune in, and it's very easy to close our heart with everything going on in the world. It's shockingly easy because this happens and someone says this, and oh, God forbid we turn on the news and oh, or if we look at our
Yeah.
business like sheets. I mean, the numbers don't add up. All this is like closed, closed, closed. So the work of actually walking around tuned in and open, it takes a very strong development of the center of the deeper in the self, because it takes a
Mhm.
very strong core to walk around with an open heart when we're getting the kind of impressions we're getting, and especially in our world today. I
Mhm.
hope that answered it. I don't know
Yeah.
if I went a little bit off topic. Yeah.
Yeah, no, no, and especially to your point, the environment we live in, such a small attention span everybody have. Whether it's scrolling videos or TikTok or a short videos, all we get is a 2 or 3 second attention span. So to control the thought process and work on a heart is very very challenging because your attention span just got very smaller.
Yes, and the environments we're in right now in our culture, they're not really
Mhm.
set up for that kind of support. And so it's even more challenging if you're the only one attempting to do it on your own. But in an environment where there's support for that, then there's some little bit of training. And these are not hard things. The hard thing is to sit still when we've been taught to do, you know,
Mhm.
and the doing more, with what I work with is being more. And it's being more here now because the strength it takes to stop and sit and breathe when the mind's going nuts and the emotions are going and there's a long list to do and the phone's ringing. So, this practice of taking your attention back is like putting money in your bank. It's
Yeah.
taking your power back by taking your attention back. That's why attention is so valuable. That's why every company buys for your attention, because that's your power. So if all my attention's going out in what I'm looking at, how much life force I get in the day, how much money do I get in the day? So now all of a sudden, all this life force is getting drained in what I'm staring at. Now, let's say I'm better and I don't do Facebook, I don't do this, but I'm a big talker. Now all my life force is going up, 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 up. Okay, so let's say I don't do that, but I'm really a heartful person and I feel other people's emotions. Now all of it's coming out here. So we're working with simple practices in yoga meditation to really hone, bringing it further down so it's not just getting spent recklessly, so to
Mhm.
speak, without a conscious awareness that that's happening. But making that hard right definitely takes a real desire to, like, okay, I really, really have decided I'm going to make a change for myself, for my family, for my company, for my employees, whatever it is, but start with myself.
Mhm.
Once that level decision is there, it's usually where I come in.
Nice, nice. I mean that what you just mentioned about the attention and the focus, that's very important for business owners or business leaders. We don't have to, as a business leaders, we don't have to put a lot of hours in, but whatever hour we put in, we need to be focused, and we need, because you have to make a lot of decisions on ongoing basis, right? You want to be focused, you want to make sure you control the attention so you can make the right decision. So that little time to make all the decision, that's very important. So to controlling that attention and having the focus to make the right decision, that instead of working longer hours, I think that's where most business owners, business leaders focus on. So I think to your point, that's really important for leadership positions. Simply, they gotta make a lot of decision on ongoing basis.
Yeah, and I think if we look at, like, of many very successful business leaders in the world, they actually meditate every single day. As far as, even the comedian Seinfeld, I mean, he talks about he meditates an hour a day. Like, Um,
Yeah.
but I also want to mention something. Not all meditations are the same. Not all yoga practices are the same, just like not all coaching is the same, just like not all leadership is the same. And there's a difference in practices that have integrity, that have efficiency. There's a real connect and not only just a speed of growth, but actual growth versus meditation that's really just visualization or
Mhm.
meditation that's contemplation, where we're still in this frame. So I think it's important to make that discernment that they're not all the same, just like all technology isn't the same. And it's important not to mistake meditation for contemplation and visualization. And those are also very important practices, but they're different. But the at least the meditation that I'm kind of referring to now that I work with people is much more about learning to get out of those centers and not be enslaved to them or so enamored by them or indulgent in them and actually
Mhm.
explore other places where the signal's clearer and there's more clarity.
Yeah, there's so much to learn in that area, both meditation and yoga. There's so many forms of it, I guess, right? There's so many different techniques to do that. So you got to find what works for you. And I think that's what probably you alluded to. That you got to figure out what works and just focus on that.
Yes, does it actually work? Because
Yeah.
it's, it's that nobody needs to do more, do more yoga, do this, another task on the calendar. So to tune into is it actually working? There's a sense that there's a actual physiological, psychological, emotional, even actionable change. That's the real true measure. Rather than thinking that, okay, I'm going to do this one other thing. In yoga, we're not doing yoga, we're being yogis. And that's maybe a stretch for business people, but it's not that you're actually having to become a yoga, but you're being rather than doing. And there's a big difference in that. But we can imagine we're being and not doing. It's a little bit tricky until we actually feel, this is actually changing my life.
Hmm. Uh, People who work with you, Wendy, how they come with. Do they come with a plan, or you have to, kind of understand what they're trying to do and develop a plan with them, and then work with them, or do they come with the, listen, this is what I'm trying to achieve most of the time? Do they know what they're trying to achieve?
I think everybody has a sense of what they're trying to achieve, but part of working together is to clearly discover that on a more deeper level. A lot of times people come to me because they want something, right? They want more money, better business, a cuter boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever relationship. And
Mhm.
that brings them in, and that's great. But usually what they find is a lot more depth of a deeper calling, a deeper want, a deeper need to grow,
Mhm.
and a larger calling than usually what they come in for.
Very interesting. Let's talk about the corporate world. So, when people are working, and especially the people listening to us or watching us, they have a busy schedule as you had, at one point. They're going through a 9 to 5, the one after one thing after another. What do you think they misunderstand when it comes to the health side of thing? When you in that role that you're going after, on a daily routines, what is some of the misconception you think that people get it wrong before they get to the point where they realize the health is important?
Well, I think one misconception is that they can't do it or that they don't want to do it. Like meditation, for instance, as one example. A lot of
Mm,
people even try to sit and they feel all kinds of things and then they don't sit and their mind goes and then that's it. So they think that they can't do it. They think that it's not something that is really necessary in life because not a lot of people around them may be doing it.
mhm,
The misconception is that it will take up more time. I have example of someone who within a few months of working together, he cleared issues that he had had for like 20 years. He could have gone the rest of his life without
mhm,
actually clearing that and having like freedom from that and moving, opening to the next stage and really being able to be fully in that next phase because that's not bogging him down anymore. And so maybe it was a few months, but clearing 20 years worth of something that could easily go on to the grave. So
Mm,
if there's also that you could start doing something for 5 minutes a day and the value will still be tremendous, that it doesn't have to be this new big commitment that you have to change your whole life. You're just starting to change, the rudder on the ship is the
mhm,
5% that moves the rest of the 95%.
mm. So,
So this work is like rudder work. We only need to work with like 5% and not take up all your day. This is going to give you more time, not take it away. Actually stopping, it's like in business, if you don't really, if you stop and take 3 days even to find the real leak in the company, that's going to save you millions over years or billions, depending on how big you are. That's going to save so much. If you have a healthier person working in the company, then you have a better attitude, you have better work, you have more good, better atmosphere. What is the value of that in company? Like these things are like huge, actually. And the misconception is that they don't even that they're nothing, that they're not even needed to
not
be
a big deal.
considered.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not a big deal. But your
Yeah.
energy level goes up, right? I've seen people who take on these, wellness that the energy goes up. They produce a lot more in a very short time, right? So you could produce double amount of work in a very short time, and compared to just dragging and just working in it.
Oh, absolutely. And you start to really understand from firsthand energy management. So you're not wasting anymore. So now you're accumulating more. Then you're also able to manage and run more energy through you. How about just feeling alive? Remembering why you got into the business in the first place,
Yeah.
re engaging with a sense of awe, re engaging with a sense of freshness, like, what am I going to do today? Who am I going to impact? Like, how are we going to bring this thing where we raise the room together? There's
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. Interesting. So yeah, business leaders who are watching, who are listening to us, definitely, in a business, there's so much stuff happens on a daily. Leaders have a responsibility. They gotta grow their company. They gotta take care of their people. There's so much happens during the day, and then we lose focus on taking care of themselves. And that's where, and those so many blind spots, especially when it comes to health and wellness. That's where we need a people like you, to work with, and you can show those blind spot and help us get over some of those blind spots so we can achieve whatever the goal and objectives we're trying to achieve in a business.
Definitely. I think the blind spots, it's like adjusting your rear view mirrors in the car so you can account for them.
Yeah.
It's really true. And I think the important message is that it's not as hard as people think it is. It's not going to take away from their day or their life. It's a giving thing. It's going to give. Because if you cannot just stop and
Hmm.
breathe and feel your core or feel your heart, or how about when you have a business deal, if you're not tuned in enough to notice, no, this stinks, this smells, I'm not touching this, or oh, this is golden. Like there's a attunement in to really be able to make very intuitive decisions
Hmm.
also that
Right.
don't have to necessarily do with how the mind would rationalize it. The non-cognitive awareness, if you would, that can influence things, that could give you a shortcut. The mind can take you through the same pattern it knows. But this is like, oh, if I do this, I get a fast pass on this ride. I could feel it in my gut. Oh,
Hmm.
this is nobody else can see it or sense it, but I'm tuned in enough to really notice that and get on the fast train there. And it's exhilarating, really, when there's like a care for your body, there's a care for your health, then how much more energy and vitality and love and everything can you bring to what you're doing. But it's for people who are ready and want to operate in the world in this way.
Yeah. I mean, what I find is if you're not connected with yourself, if you're not grounding yourself, Business is all about people, whether it's your employee, whether it's your customers, whether it's your vendor. If you're not connected and with yourself, you're not grounded, you're not gonna deeply connect with all these people around you, right? For you to connect with the people and be authentic, you need to first take care of yourself. Be more authentic to yourself. Then you can go out and connect with the people a little bit deeper level.
Yes, and the more we understand ourselves, in my experience, the more we just understand we're all the same
Hmm.
ultimately. I mean,
Yeah.
we really are. We all look different and stuff, but we're all the same on the depth where it matters. And to understand ourselves lets us understand others, and to understand others lets us connect. And connection is currency. It's money, it's energy. And so it really is, it's on a different, playing on a different field.
Hmm.
It's really for
That's
those who want to play on a different field and have some knowledge that there is a different field that they can explore and it's have a whole new, experience with, which makes life
mhm.
exciting again. It's not just same
Yeah.
old, same old.
You got it. So, business owners who wants to take on this journey, when they want to start somewhere, they haven't taken care of themselves for a while. They want to start the journey. They want to consider, getting better on their health and mental health or physical or whatever the health they want to, go for. Where can they start something small and then they can progress to that? So, what are some of the areas they can start from?
The area to start from is do something very convenient first. So that it's something you can do if you're going to want to go to a yoga class or start a meditation or something. Do something that's easy. Maybe it's close by your house, or maybe it's online accessible and it could work around your current time schedule so you can start to step into something. If it's not convenient enough because it's not a new pattern yet, it's going to be very hard to try to force it. And it's not a force it kind of thing.
Hmm.
So, first, start with making a decision. I don't even know what this is, but I get a sense that there's something here and I'm going to do it. So, first is the decision that it's a real decision. Second is something convenient. Anybody's welcome to reach out to me on my website, and even if you don't work with me, I'm happy to, answer a question or connect and support you from where you are. However, convenience, decision, convenience, and if you have the ability to connect with me, I definitely recommend that too.
Yeah, no, definitely business leaders who are listening or watching us, definitely I learned so much from our discussion. And I would encourage all of them to, reach out to you for conversation, reach out to for connection. So who knows where the conversations gonna go, but definitely I would encourage them to reach out to you. Where can they reach out? Is it a website or LinkedIn? I'll include a link below this video. How
Yeah,
can
I'm
they
on
reach out to you?
LinkedIn. I'm
Okay.
not on many social media websites because I I don't scroll a lot.
Yeah.
So that's one funny thing about my business. However, I am on LinkedIn, but also my website, wendyfalcon.com. And you can email info@wendyfalcon.com. And again, you don't have to reach out to me. This is about finding something that you're willing to do. If it's going to be something that it feels like you're all hesitant about, just
Yeah.
do something more easy. Do something that you'll actually do. Don't build it up to have to do this big thing. Let it be easy, let it be simple, and just do it and
That's a
start.
long journey. You gotta start something small and go towards it. If you just start everything in a day one, you're gonna give up on it.
Yeah, start now, start somewhere. And how about this? Because I'll give everybody this. I think this is important. Start with 3 deep breaths.
Hmm.
So have your focus be a little lower in your body. You could feel your seat sitting in the chair. So you could feel the gravity. You could actually sense your body. You could feel your feet on the floor. You could sense your feet.
Okay.
And then just take a deep breath in with your attention in your body and exhale. So nice. And keep your attention on your seat. Keep your attention that you can feel and sense your actual physical body. And then take a second breath. Lovely. And then take one more breath, even bigger than the first two. And then put your hands to the side and shake them out. And just be like, woo, I did it. I started. Amazing. How easy was that? Yay.
Yeah, at least you ground yourself with the energy. Very good. Great tip. Thank you so much. Yeah, no, it was great discussion. Thank you so much for time. I'm sure that listeners, people listening on a podcast or people watching on the YouTube, they learn something. They take away something from our discussion, and reach out to you for conversation. Click a button below the video. Reach out to you. Who knows where the conversation is gonna go? Um, I'm sure they're gonna learn, a lot from you every time they connect with you. Thank you so
Thank
much for your
you.
time, Wendy.
Thank you so much, Grameen. I appreciate you and what you're doing here in the world. And thank you so much.
Thank you.